Hello, everyone. And today, me and Pope Metallicus are now discussing season one of one of my favorite animes. Probably my favorite anime currently running this season, Made in Abyss. Now, the concept of Made in Abyss is that there's this town. It's saying the fantasy world where this town called Orth is built around a giant pit chasm known as the Abyss. The abyss contains a supernatural curse, meaning that any person who tries to come up from it will get sick, and the effect increases the further you go down. The pit is also filled with bizarre creatures and magical items that cave raiders, as the city calls them, collect. The city of Orth contains an orphanage. What was the orphanage called again?
Oh, hell, they usually just refer to it as the orphanage.
Okay, the orphanage. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot. Uh, anyways, our main character Riko, who discovers a mysterious mechanical robot of cyborg kid named Reg in the first layer of the abyss. After he saved her life from of one of the many strange monsters that exist in this world, the split jaw. And Rico's actually the daughter of the one of the most famous white whistles, the highest rank of the cave raiders, and her mother went down on her last dive, 10 years prior when Rico was still two. So now Rico wants to come white whistle to catch up with her mother, as well as discover the true origins of Reg.
What was it here?
So you have a problem with the main character of the show, Rico.
I do, um, to an extent. I don't
I mean I
hate
liked her.
her.
She was the
I don't hate her, but
mm,
she. It's clear that she's really immature,
because she's
and as a
12.
man, they also
I
look
ain't-
like the way they draw the characters in this game or in this series. They also look a lot younger than they should.
I know. But it's really
But
cutesy art style.
yeah,
Not quite chibi, but almost there.
yeah,
And this is on purpose. This is on purpose and on to increase the cute factor of the characters as they go into
fair.
this horror monster world.
Yeah, true. I mean, I guess, and from an artistic standpoint, I do get that because
Mm,
it does accentuate that like later on in the season where they're actually facing off against some pretty serious looking monsters,
mm,
and you have these little kids, but
mm.
it does kind of throw me off a little bit. But my biggest problem is her personality, where she, especially as a main character, where she like never takes responsibility for anything. Like as soon as something goes her way, it's like it's of course all her idea, even though like Reg is usually the one pulling her ass out of the fire every episode.
Yeah, I understood that.
But I don't like she's not a bad person, but it's clear she's very immature and very self-centered at the beginning of this.
Of course, because
Again, she's
she's
12.
yes, I know.
But I did find that one kind of annoying. I did like her friends though, where even though she is the way she is and constantly getting everyone in trouble, they'll always go to bat for her.
Mm,
So I
because
thought that was pretty cool because that's what
because
friends do.
I don't think they know much better anyway.
Well, no, but that's also just what friends do.
Mm,
Is like, yeah, my friend's a fuck up, but he's our fuck up. Let's go bail him out again.
mm.
But I
Uh,
liked her, not her instructor, but like the senior
the
kid there.
leader,
Like, yeah, the leader.
that's what they call him. You know,
Yeah,
has no name.
yeah, and I like the fact that he's kind of looking out for him in a lot of ways. Like he's kind of actually covering for them. You find out a lot.
Mm,
Like he's basically known what they were doing the whole time, and
mm,
he hasn't done anything about it, which
mm,
I thought was pretty cool. Because like
mm.
usually like especially usually in animes, a lot of times anybody in authority is usually pretty strict with it. like they're pretty
mm,
by the book,
mm.
and he kind of bends a lot of rules to help her out.
And then we get our other main character show. There's really two. Our other main, which is of course Reg.
Yep.
Uh, this- now Rig's now I'm not spoiling season two. We get a little bit more hints about his origins in season two, but Reg is either a cyborg or a robot. We can't really tell at this point.
And this is something a lot of animes do really well, where they introduce a character that we basically know nothing about. And it's
Mm,
clear that like he's something really important, but nobody has any clue what is going
mm,
on with him.
mm,
And I think that's a pretty cool part of his character, including him. He knows nothing about it.
mm,
So when they find anything out about him, he's just as excited as everyone else,
mm,
which I thought was pretty cool.
mm,
And other than that, like just a really nice kid. He's anxious to help out, like really
mm.
sticks by his friends, which is really good for Riko because she'd be dead about 15 different ways without him,
Of course, since he's the only one with superpowers, so he the one really
including in
protecting
the
her.
including in the first episode.
Hmm.
Hell, he would have been dead in what, like the first 5 minutes of the show
Yeah,
without him. So he was a cool addition, and I do actually look forward to getting to know more about him because
we do learn more about him in season two. I'm not spoiling that.
yeah, no, but I like his character, and he's an interesting design too, where like, he looks normal except for his hands.
Yeah, except his arms and I think his legs too.
No, yeah, I think his legs are mechanical, but they don't extend like his arms do,
I know, don't no, his arms extend. Yeah.
because otherwise he'd basically just be an Inspector Gadget ripoff.
Yeah, yeah. What? Wait. Where you going? And now Pope Metallica has left. Oh, sorry, he's back now.
Yeah,
Ah, you back? You back now?
sorry about that. I accidentally
Mm,
exited out of my browser, but
okay.
no, that I thought was pretty cool. In that he's a very different kind of character, and like a lot of animes, like the character will know everything about himself, but you don't really review. They don't really reveal a lot about him,
Mm,
and like you just kind of find out bits and pieces here and there,
mm,
almost like I don't know if you've ever seen the old anime Cowboy Bebop.
I've seen the first episode. I did get interested enough to continue.
I mean, Spike, you know almost nothing about at the beginning, and you get like kind of hints about his past as you go along. So I do like that, where but he knows it all and is just
Mm,
not telling. Whereas this kid genuinely doesn't know.
mm,
So there's no aspect of mistrust or deceit to him.
mm.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. So that's our two main characters, and we get this we get this ranking system of different color whistles. Her uncle Habo is a black whistle, so second to highest.
So she's related to some pretty high, like high up and probably pretty famous people. Oh, and obviously famous. Or her mother's the most famous cave raider there's ever been, I think, or at least at this time.
Yeah, that time because there's been other white whistles, of course.
Yeah, but like she like of her day, she's like the
Mm,
rock star of the group.
yeah,
So I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed that too, where like, and you don't find that out until later, and nobody treats her any differently because of it.
yeah,
If anything, they hold her to a higher standard.
yeah, and partially because of her personality.
That too, which apparently she shares quite a bit with her mother,
Mm,
who is also kind of like that.
yes.
And
Uh,
I like the fact that they don't make these characters like perfect, glorious people who are just like there is no bad flaws to them. Like I think was it Leader starts talking about her mother a little bit, and she's
yes.
like she was a drunk. She was freaking all over the place as a human being. Like she was an absolute train wreck,
Mm,
but she was a really good cave
mm,
raider.
it's just yeah, it's just a shame you didn't watch the movie before we make this video.
Okay.
Uh, no, because yeah, let's just say Banjuru is a great villain, to say the least.
Okay. I'll have
Uh,
to watch.
keep,
I'll have to watch that tonight.
yeah, keep in mind, he's actually evil, by the way. Like he's not there's no but we can consider him insane. Now, uh, now the monster design in this show is amazing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that because they're mostly pretty unique too.
Yeah, here's the I know you might not knows about me or anyone in the chat right now, but the thing is, I know I was into mechs, but I was always into monster design. I love looking at weird, unique monsters and the ecology and lore and stuff.
Oh,
That's why the
you'll love the Tyranids in 40K then.
okay, because when I picked up because the first let me give you an example of how much I love monsters and weird monster lore. The first book D&D book I ever picked up was a monster manual when the book in Barnes and Noble. So let's understand that. Uh,
No, I mean, and that's one thing a lot of fantasy systems do really well is they have really interesting creatures
mm,
and stuff like that running
like
around. That not all of them
like
are necessarily evil, but they're really cool looking.
yeah, like for and now that they also weird there's also great lore about them. For example, the split jaw, the giant snake flying snake thing in the first episode.
Yep.
Um, well, okay, I gotta explain something about the abyss. We learned at the end of the season, at the end of the season, but the month the okay the abyss magic curse magic system works on the force field, and whatever it is that force field the plenty of monsters can actually use it as a magic system, but humans can't. So the wildlife can use magic, but not humans.
Which makes sense because they're from that
Exactly,
pit and humans are not. So it affects
exactly,
us negatively and them positively.
exactly. So so for example the giant snake monster actually flies using the magic system of using the force field of the abyss.
Which I like in that, like, it's not just another flying dragon thing.
Mm,
It's actually, this thing's flying because it's using magic just instinctively,
mm,
which
and
I think is really interesting.
there's a lot of cool monsters I would never thought of in this show.
Yeah.
Another cool one was the what is it called, the corpse weaver. Was it
Oh yeah, yeah. Where it
corpse weaver?
basically the corpse reaper or corpse weaver, I can't remember which, but the one that basically imitates the sounds of the thing it just killed
Yeah,
in order
yeah,
in order to draw in its next victim,
yes.
which I thought was really cool. Because there have
Mm,
been monsters like that in other franchises, but I did like seeing it. They did it in a pretty new and interesting way.
yeah, it's a bird. That kind of makes sense when they know how birds are.
Yeah, it's kind of a lizard bird thing, and
Mm,
I did really enjoy seeing that thing because it was like, oh sweet, there's somebody else. Oh wait, no, there isn't.
mm, also the animation in this anime is amazing. It's pretty much pretty much like Spirited Away except as a series.
Yeah, I other than the character design, which kind of threw me off a little bit, the rest of the animation and art style is awesome. From the environments to like how they animate movement and stuff like that, it's all really clean.
Yeah, this is because the a guy used to work for Ghibli did the animation for this anime adaptation.
I I remember you said that because I saw a lot of influences from like Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke and stuff like that in there.
Mm,
I was just like, okay, yeah, I see
mm.
that, and even Little Howl's Moving Castle and some of the steampunkier elements of it.
Yeah, the technology level to see is like late 1800s.
Yeah, so it's there was a lot of Howl's Moving Castle influences there, and I
Mm,
was glad to see it because like Studio Ghibli is like where it was at for many many years when it came to animation,
mm, mm.
and they're still right up at the top.
Mm, and yeah, and Kevin Pinkman's soundtrack is amazing. At least
Yeah, I
it's,
really like the music in this. Not so
they
much
feel
the intro and outro, but like the music in the background throughout the entire series. I
mm,
thought really did a good job at it.
his soundtracks now become legendary for season one. It's become legendary, and so is season two. By the way, Kevin Pinkman, that's the guy who did the soundtrack for Made in Abyss. He's Australian.
Okay.
Which is weird because a Japanese company hires an Australian composer. That's
Welcome to the 21st century, man. Like you'll have all sorts of weird connections like that, where like this American company will hire a Japanese subcontractor to do art design on this one thing that'll then be animated by a British company. So it's like this design like traveled like all the way around the world before it got back to where it started.
Mm. Uh,
And in a lot of ways, that's really cool because you can deal with the talent pools and art styles from all over the world in one kind of package.
yeah. Some might. How you feel about Rico and Reg's relationship as they go on in this story? Go
I
through the
mean,
story.
at first it seems like she's taking advantage of him.
I know she kind of is because she don't see him as a human. She see him as like kind of like a machine.
Yeah,
That's
she
it.
sees him as a tool, and then I do see that changing a lot towards the end of the season, and she does start to view him more as a friend than
Mm,
as a tool, as something that will help her get further. And I
mm,
really did like seeing that because
mm,
that is the relationship between any people in stressful situations. Like even if they're depending on each other for survival,
mm,
but as over that time, you will develop that bond as it goes on.
And has Reg starts and Rico. Some people had some weird controversies for about. I mean,
Well, I mean, Reg, I mean, she's all he knows really.
mm,
So it's not surprising that he thinks of her as like her sister slash best friend, or as his sister slash best friend, or whatever.
well,
Because she's literally the only thing he knows.
but not exactly in the sister league
Well,
league
yeah, I
realm.
mean, but they're little kids, so we won't go down that rabbit hole yet. Although
Yeah,
although Japan is known for that.
yeah, it actually kind of is going down that rabbit hole, especially in season 2. But
Oh boy.
but
Oh
and the
God,
movie.
Japan, why do you do these things to me?
No, but it's too explicit though.
Okay, good. Because it's just kind of one of those like especially because anime is famous for that too. So like I imagine a lot of people watching that getting very nervous, just like, oh, where's
Mm.
this going? Like, should I hit the stop button now?
But it is going there. And there's outright in season 2. I'm not spoiling it, but it's outright. There's an outright it's not there's an outright seduction scene when one of the characters introduced. So I'm not and Reg is subject to it. So I'm not
Okay,
so
we'll get there when we
it
get there.
okay, it goes places. It goes places. But um they travel down the abyss, and each layer of the abyss is a unique environment. Now, most of what it is mostly jungle, but there's some unique aspect to it that makes it weird.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you have different levels of it, and each one kind of has its own little challenges
Hmm.
that get worse as you go down, but not just like it's the same thing, only even worse. It gets different each time. Like, this is the third level where the forest is upside down.
Yeah, yeah, and that is the most unique environment I've ever seen in an anime. Like,
Yeah, where it's like a straight up rainforest, but on the ceiling,
yeah, it's
which
more
I
like a
thought was
regular.
cool. Which I thought was cool.
And also they got monkeys that hop between the branches. These monkey things that hop between the trees.
Yep, and aren't very friendly.
The baboon like things.
Yeah, which pretty much everything short of after the first level, if you encounter it, it's not friendly.
Mm,
Because
mm,
the first level is actually pretty idyllic in terms of like it's bright, it's sunny, like there's lakes and stuff everywhere. Like it's
mm,
actually a pretty cool place.
mm,
And you do get occasionally monster attacks and stuff like that, but there's all sorts of cool little critters and stuff that are actually fairly harmless running around.
mm,
Whereas, the thing I get from the later levels is even if it looks friendly, don't trust it
mm,
because it's probably going to try to kill you at some point
mm, mm,
or lead you to something that will.
but by the way, I've been reading manga for this, and
Okay.
it's based off of manga, and manga's still going. By the way, it's now over. Like, I hope it gets finished though at some point.
Well, I mean, you know how mangas go. Some of them, they run for a couple of series or whatever, and then some are 35 years on, we're still going.
No. Some have high. The manga has high hiatuses a lot.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, I
So
mean, yeah,
let's just hope this.
you got to give your guys a break from coming out with an issue every month for
No, it's
decades
usually
on
one
end.
per one person making this. The one person does the story is always the guy doing the art most of the time. Most of the time.
Which is how, I mean, that's how American comics used to work, where you had one guy running the art and one guy running the story for this whole
No,
thing,
no. When
and
manga
constant.
is it's usually one person.
I thought they usually had an art designer too.
No, it's usually one dude. And
Okay,
especially with the case of this manga, it's most definitely 100% one dude.
okay. So in that
Yeah,
case, it's even worse because you can't just beat beat comics out of this dude for a decade and expect him not to
yeah,
want to take a break every now and
yeah. The
again.
manga's been going since 2012.
Okay, so it's fairly established at this point. It's been going for 10 years.
Mhm. Uh, yeah. So watching this show this it actually blew my mind the first time I saw it, the first episode. Uh, because I normally had seen an anime this good, especially not a fancy anime, this of this level of quality in its world building and whatnot.
Because fantasy
And
is one of those universes where it can be really good or really bad, and it depends on who's writing it and how
no,
they design things.
yeah, because no, because you already know how the isekai stuff works. We already know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so watching this actually unique fantasy world with actually likable characters, now not just generic, angsty teenage boy and harm hot girls.
that was my problem with anime in like the late 2000s and later. Is it got really formulaic,
Mm,
where like you'd have all of the same characters in the same kind of orientation, and you'd kind of meet them in the same way.
mm,
Like, oh, you have angsty teenage boy or girl, depending on the series.
mm,
Oh, the love interest shows up. Oh, and then the guy who's kind of their best friend, but also kind of the rival shows up.
mm.
And like it just goes right down the list. It's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here.
No, no. Usually these more modern shows we get teenage boy who's better than everybody else and super chill about it. We get and then you get the Tsundere, which is like the chick with anger issues. And then we get that's the main girl, and then we get like then we get a bunch of other characters who are a bunch of female characters who are horny from the main guy usually. But even if it's a fancy anime usually.
Okay. I mean, I kind of got out of it after like Bleach started running a little long, so like I haven't really looked up much that's newer than that.
Mm,
But I did. I like the kind of smaller cast shows too, like shows like Full Metal Alchemist and stuff like that, where the main cast is not very big.
mm.
Like you have a ton of supporting characters that are recurring, but the main cast is really only two guys.
And it's similar to this show, by the way, Made Abyss.
Yeah, where you have like two main characters and then other ones kind of rotate in and out, either as villains or allies, depending on
Mm.
what's going
And
on.
since you didn't see the movie, there's a secret behind the white whistles. The whistles not normal.
I
The
figured I figured that had happened at some. We were going to get into that at some point. That it like offers you either better protection against it or against the curse or something like that.
no,
No.
the whistles not made normally. Not made, and they not only have magical properties, but they're not made normally, to say the least.
Okay.
Uh, the black whistles and the red whistles every all the whistles are normal. The white whistles themselves are not normal.
I figured the white whistles have something special about them because
Yeah.
first of all, like it doesn't make sense that just have that be like everybody can do that. It makes sense that like if that has actual special properties, that only the best would get it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but how it's made is not very moral, to say the least.
Ah, okay. Japanese anime. I gotta love those moral gray areas, and that's one of the things I do love about the genre, especially is these are not normal kid shows and not normal cartoons. Like
Mm.
there's some real more gray morality in there and some pretty dark stuff too.
Yeah, although Made in Abyss is not really aimed for kids, the manga nor the anime.
Well, that's the thing is in America we see anything animated and we're like, oh, it's a kid show. Like, no,
Yeah.
not even slightly. Especially not a lot of the older stuff.
Yeah, but this show right here, Made in Abyss, is not for most definitely not for kids. Uh, you remember this scene later on the show, but
Mm-hmm.
uh and like I said, the sexual content actually increases but past this, but slightly. It's not to unnecessary levels, but
Not to the level of like, you might have the FBI knocking on your door for downloading it.
Yeah, but it's fits within story. But
But it's kind of one of those like, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable right now.
well, not exactly a compliment. It's a cartoon. You can't get how you go to jail if
Uh,
CP if it's a cartoon.
you asked that question, and yet in some countries that is actually illegal.
Some countries Europe, some countries in Europe, yeah, and most definitely Australia.
Well, everything's illegal in Australia. At this point, outside is illegal in Australia in some places, depending on
Mm,
what level your freaking county's at this week.
mm,
Sorry, Australia, I love you, but you're kind of a joke right now.
mm.
You
Uh,
too, New
uh,
Zealand, you're even worse.
am I coming in clear? Because
Yeah.
okay, one major thing about Made Abyss, one major arc in in the season one is when we go to Ozen's treehouse, whatever we call it, uh,
The secret camp.
secret camp. Yeah, secret camp.
That's kind of the halfway point of the series, isn't it?
Yeah, it is
Of this season, anyway.
this season.
Because this whole season doesn't cover a whole lot of time. Like they don't get very far in,
I know, I know.
which I like because it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, it got this bad this fast. I can't
Mm,
wait to see what's coming next.
mm. Yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah. Honestly, I would expect you. I hope you watched the movie, but you didn't. Okay, but there's no big deal.
But no, I
Uh,
mean the later half of the series, like things do start to pick up. Like
mm,
it's like the danger level kind of ratchets up
of
considerably.
course, of course. It's getting deeper into the abyss. I mean, try to go up. Yeah.
You try to go up, you're
Uh,
screwed. You try to go down, well, even worse monsters.
yes. Ozen. How I feel about Ozen? That character.
I don't know how to feel about her. She's an interesting character, and she's very much like the kind of like not lost in the wilderness, but like she's been there way too long.
Yeah, she's been there for I think decades. She's been around
So,
long time,
but
a very
enough to
long
have kind
time.
of lost it a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
because
not, she's not completely gone yet, but she's kind of out there.
uh yeah, the reason why she's been around for a very long time. She's been there over 50 years. She's been there down there over 50 years. Keep in mind, we know she got these pins that give her superhuman strength and invulnerability that allows her
Yeah,
to survive for extremely long amount periods of time and not age that much.
yeah. But I did like that about her character too, where she does very much appear to be the one person who kind of like forgot how to like be a normal person
That
because she's just around there with her assistant and that's it.
mm, no, by the way, the assistant, if the assistant, I got to look his name up right now. Uh, the
Yeah, I forget
assistant
his name.
yeah, assistant. This is that he's actually a transsexual. Craig's firm and such.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like
Uh.
well, like that's a long tradition in animes of like that character. Like I'm not really sure what gender this is, especially as a kid. Like what is it, Naruto? Haku.
Uh.
Zabuza's little apprentice
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But this show, he's actually a transsexual. He's actually a transsexual. Like he actually wants transition. So.
Okay.
but-
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah, that's right. I remember him. I remember that now. But it is what it is.
I know. Uh. We get. Baba Ozen is not very mentally stable, and that makes sense. Considering, I mean, you can't be
How long
really
he's been down there?
yeah, you can't. Here's the thing: you can't really be mentally stable and be a white whistle at the same time because of how these whistles are made. Again, I was surprised I didn't see them in the movie.
And also you have the effect of being down in that location for that amount of time without many people being around you.
Mm.
Like you do start to lose it.
Yeah, but I mean, you must all have already thrown away some of your morality in order to make the white whistle in the first place. So,
Well, yeah, there's that too.
yeah, uh,
But that's one, like that's one of those like you already weren't a great person to start with, but this what like just the isolation will slowly
mm,
drive you insane.
not really isolation. The white whistles come back to the surface anytime they want. She just always just shows live there in this in third layer.
Well, yeah, but she is very cut off from everything else going on and kind of out there.
Mm.
It's almost like I don't know if like you've seen the original Jumanji, right?
Oh yeah, the movie. I seen that.
Yeah, where like Robin Williams' character is just like he's kind of just completely forgotten how to be human because he hasn't
He's
been
been
one
there
in like
for,
20 years.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like she has like none of the normal like politeness or whatever. Like she's just kind of does what she does,
He's also
which
very
I
threat.
liked about her.
He's also very threatening towards Rico because of her past relationship with her mother.
Yep. Which I like the fact that characters like will treat characters differently based on their interactions with other characters,
Mm.
and like I like the fact that they don't immediately treat Riko like she's the best thing ever just because she's the main character.
Of course not.
Well, I
By
mean,
the way,
in what
what
shows
do you
that's
feel
how it
about?
would be. Is like, oh,
Mm,
she's the main
uh,
character. We
uh,
need to make her the best thing ever, and everyone knows it and tells her how special she is from minute one.
and another thing about the show is the nobody about about Oz's character Ozen is what she what do you think about what she tried to do with Rico, which tried to uh he tried to break her spirit by 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 telling her about the whole her being reanimated corpse because when she was a baby she was placed in that crystal spelling vessel and she came brought to life because she was stillborn.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting scenes where like you're not sure if she's lying in order to try to break her will or if that's actually what happened.
That actually is what happened.
I know,
That's
but at that time you're not entirely sure.
mm,
I think you get confirmation much later in the series, but at the time you're like, wow, either this lady's an asshole or that's fucking like that's some heavy things to lay on a 12-year-old.
mm,
But oh, yeah, by the way, you're actually supposed to be dead.
mm, uh, mm. The magic items. Unfortunately, we don't get to see much of that in this show.
No,
The
they hint at
artifacts,
it. They hint at it, but they don't really
the artifacts.
really go into any of it
Mm,
into like what these things really do and stuff like that. They mention them, but they don't really go into it.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we get some of the some we don't get we do they mention the artifacts. We don't see any of them.
Not any of the really powerful ones, anyway. They do show off a couple of trinkets here and there, but it's mostly just random junk from down in the pit.
Mm, like the boob stone and
Yeah.
uh uh
What's
was
that?
this
Was that compass they mentioned?
the star compass that points always points down
Yeah,
to the abyss.
I was gonna say that because that's an artifact too, but they don't really go into how it works or anything like that. They don't really mention the magic. They don't really mention how the magic system works much.
I know
And I think a lot of that is because they don't understand how it works. They just know it does.
exactly. That's that even in the story. They don't understand how they don't even understand how it works.
Which I've always liked those stories where humans like can use the technology, but they don't understand how it works and can't make it.
mm,
Like it's almost like the Mechanicus in 40K, where they know that these things work and stuff like that, but they can't replicate the technology, and
mm,
they can kind of sort of keep it running most of the time.
mm, mm. Also, also another thing with and of course the most biggest impactful arc in the season is the whole stuff with the one of the most creative monsters I've ever seen, which is the orb piercer,
Yeah,
which
that was a really cool monster. Like I really enjoyed seeing that thing.
which is like it has a sea urchin. It's a four leg herbivore that has a sea urchin for a head and it's poisonous.
Yeah, it was kind of like a cross between like a normal herbivore and a hedgehog.
No, it's more like a sea urchin for a head.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because yeah, it's true. The spines don't go all the way down it.
Mm,
It's just a head, which I
mm,
thought was really interesting. Because usually, if the creature's all spiky, it's all spiky.
mm, like a
Which
porcupine.
yeah, and I like that about this series that the monsters, like you say, are they're not really like anything else.
Mm.
and it kind of intentionally veers away from the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this thing flies, it must have wings. Nope. Oh, this thing has spikes, it probably has them all the way down. Mm-mm. But no, that was an interesting monster.
And then during the encounter with that monster, Rico gets injured with
Yep,
poison quill,
because
and
of
and
course something like that's poisonous.
and of course, one of the most infamous, probably the most infamous scene in this anime happens, which Reg has to tend to Rico's arm injury or botch arm amputation.
Hmm.
How'd you feel during that scene, by the way?
That was one of those like I kind of saw that going sideways before it even really started happening. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're going to have this guy who's completely untrained in how to do this try to make that work. That's I can't wait to see if they pull this one off, and they kind of don't.
Just no, because most of the show the cats ain't really been gotten injured before, but now Rico can't, Red can't get injured, and Rico Reg's always protecting Rico.
Yep, and finally Rico actually gets injured pretty severely, and like I forget if she was going to die or not, but he actually did have to try to amputate her arm,
Hmm.
and it didn't go well.
Yeah, because Reg didn't have the courage to just rip the arm off.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool scene in the scene in that like you can tell he knows what he has to do, but he just can't bring himself to do it.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a really humanizing moment for him because like a lot of times in the series, like he's that guy who like doesn't question anything. He just kind of like sees what needs to happen, goes okay, and just does it.
Hmm.
And there you see him hesitate for the one of the first times really. Like he just will not do it.
Hmm.
I forget how they solved that.
How they solved the poison problem was well, they went up in the fifth layer. Oh
Oh,
wait,
that's
no,
right.
the
Yep.
fourth layer, I think, and she's all bleeding out of her office.
Yeah, and it basically like bleeds they basically bleed the poison out of her. It's almost like the old bloodletting technique, only it actually works.
Mm. Uh,
Which I forget, is her arm permanently crippled after that, or just really badly injured?
really badly injured.
Yeah,
Fortunately, we meet the one of the fan favorite characters in the show, Nanachi, who becomes a permanent party member. By the way,
yeah, that's right. Yep.
permanent cast. Nanachi, who uh, you will know that if you've seen the movie.
Okay.
That permanent, like she's just there with them. This cute rabbit girl. Well, well, according to the creator of the manga, it's supposed to be gender ambiguous, but it didn't come off like that to me at all. I just thought it was a girl.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of saw her as a female too. So, but then again, I haven't read the manga, so there may be evidence to the contrary in there.
No, there's no evidence. He say he intentionally drew it to be gender ambiguous, and it might be a plot twist on that, but like I said, I see it as a girl.
Okay.
So, 'cause, the Nanachi, the cute bunny girl who lives in the abyss, and with another, well, she's what's called a hollow. We get more on the hollows in season two. Season two is all about the hollows.
And I'm guessing these are not like the hollows in Bleach, where
No,
it's basically a spirit that's had its soul ripped out.
no, not at all.
Okay, good. I was gonna say because like this show's been so original so far, I didn't want
No,
to
nothing like the hollows
change
of
that
Bleach at
now.
all. No, no, nothing like hollows of Bleach at all. They are humans who went to the sixth layer and try to come back, and uh now she has a special ability to sense the force field uh of the abyss.
Yeah,
But
because
she
this
can't
place
do
has
it.
its kind of like not gravity system, but it is like a force field slash anti gravity system where the rules of normal physics don't exactly work right in the
Yeah, the magic
abyss.
the magic system, it's what allows the curse to work, and also allows the creatures to do what they do. In
Yeah,
the all piercer's case, it actually gives them precognition.
yeah. But I mean, in um, but like, I like that about about the scenes in the abyss too, because things look similar to how it looks like in our world, but
Mhm.
things don't always work the way they should.
Yeah, yeah. Now, yeah, now she tends to Rico's arm.
Yeah.
Mm. By the way, you hadn't seen the movie, but uh, there's this, there's this running joke. There's running joke in the movie about Ray constantly getting hard when touching Nana. She was get which
I'm assuming that's more curse jackassery.
more what?
Is it more jackassery to do with the curse than anything? Like maybe he
No,
responds interestingly to her energy or something.
no.
No,
It's just
just him being a teenage boy.
yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. So he's a furry apparently. So,
Well,
but
there's people who are into that. Very
yeah,
strange, odd, and weird people.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm kidding for you furries out there. I love y'all.
yeah. So and so we get how I feel about her backstory, which is one of the most tragic backstories in this entire show.
I love that like the more you learn about her, and like she's such a like an upbeat character too in a lot of ways, that like, and like very cutesy and like very upbeat when you first
Mm,
meet her, and like then you learn more about her. It's just like, wow, okay, like you are like one of the most tragic characters in a lot of shows I've seen.
yeah, we learned about Bondru. Remember that guy we showed
Yep.
that he's one of the white whistles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, no, none of them are very moral people. Like I said,
No.
uh, but uh, he experimented on children with by using them to test to see if somebody can survive the come back from sixth layer from the sixth layer.
Yeah. And
And,
she got turned into a hollow for it.
yes, and her friend Mitty got turned into uh a non-sentient hollow since
Yeah, where she completely like lost her mind and like her personality.
and now that it has a super healing factor, so she can't never die.
Which is honestly probably one of the darkest things I've heard in this whole series.
Especially happened to a little girl like that.
Yeah, she lost all elements of her personality and intelligence,
And
and
also
she
and
just
also
and she can't die, so now she just kind of exists.
yes. And oh yeah, we actually learned season two most of the houses are sentient. They don't are sentient, but they don't have any of their original memories. I don't think most of them.
So they've lost their humanity.
Yeah, but still, but in season two, we learned it's most of them actually sentient though.
Okay, so they're sentient. They've just lost whatever they were before.
Yeah, although they still retain parts of their original personality, they just don't know why they have them.
Okay, so it's almost like Reg, but in reverse, where he came out of the pit and all of a sudden doesn't remember who he is,
Mm, mm, uh,
or
uh,
why he does things. He just does them.
yes. Yes, and wow, like when her and most people when got to that part, I mean they've already experienced the arm amputation scene, but most people actually cried when it got to the part where Reg has to put down Mitty. Uh,
Yeah, that one's pretty dark. People are not used to that in shows that have this art style. It's just like,
mm,
wow,
and
okay, we're going there, are we?
yeah,
And yet,
like
depending on your outlook on life, what he did is actually the merciful thing.
yeah, and then we have a child actually having to kills well, the first time. That kind of happens in this show, by the way, multiple times, more times later with Reg, because
Yeah,
he's
and
because because
that's
he's
kind
the
of,
because he's the only one there with actual super abilities.
yeah. So he's the only one who can do it,
Yes.
and
Mm,
he's the one that would least want to.
yes.
Which I do like in a lot of animes too, in that a lot of the major characters, like their big growth moments, come from things that they don't ever want to do, but they're the only ones who can.
Mm,
Which is,
mm,
that makes sense
mm,
in
mm,
that they see what they need to do, and they have to do it,
mm.
and it's clear that they're never the same after that.
Mm, this is a this is a minor spoiler for the movie, but Bond. Well, we will learn. Okay, if you can't tell, Bondrew's not normal physically either. No,
No, he's got some sort of ability as well. I don't remember exactly what, but he's not normal.
yeah. It's just a plot twist, but kind of fun. Yeah, but that's a plot twist. But I'm not going to the minor stuff. Let's just say he's partially mechanical.
I figured that was part of it. Like something about the way he moves is just not quite right.
Yeah,
And I do love that about the animation. That the animation about of how people move and stuff like that is lifelike enough that you can tell that something's not really right with him,
yeah,
but
yes.
you can't tell what.
Yeah. He also has laser beam attack, though it's not as powerful as Ray. But
So I'm guessing we find out later that those two are related somehow.
no, no. 'Cause he actually tries to dissect Ray to try to figure out how he works. He don't know. He don't know.
Okay, so they have similar abilities, but they don't. Neither one of them knows how they got them.
No, well. Bondrew knows how he got his, but Ray doesn't know.
Okay, but no, that yeah, he was an interesting character where like you shouldn't trust him, like pretty much right off the bat, but you can't put your
Mm.
finger on why.
By the way, he does more horrible stuff to children in the movie, but
I'm
he
not
does.
surprised at that at all.
Yeah, he really doesn't care. It's just sacrifices for his grand new plan, which was grand plans, scientific progress.
Yep, it's very similar to the oh, what the hell's the professor's name in Full Metal Alchemist with Nina?
Like full metal. Wait, what's I forgot that guy. He turned into a dog.
Yeah, the professor, and like that was
His
one of the
daughter.
most heartbreaking scenes in that
He
whole
turns his
fucking
dog into a
movie.
dog. Yeah,
In that whole
I actually,
series, that's
I
that's
know.
like wow.
When I first saw that in Brotherhood, because I didn't see the original. When I first saw it in Brotherhood, I actually wish they should survive and get better. Uh,
I think they do in the original. It's been a
oh
while
yeah,
since I've seen the original, but yeah, they go into that scene a lot more in the original version than they do in Brotherhood.
yeah. And Brotherhood Scar just kills her. I got disappointed by the way. I wanted to see her push through it as a talking dog.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Brotherhood, I mean, the original he does as well, and that's probably for the best. But not before Ed and Alphonse actually find her
Mm,
and see what he did. And like that was one of those heartbreaking scenes in the original Full Metal Alchemist. Is like
mm.
she can still somewhat talk.
She can't. She can't. Just that she got has to learn how to control his new dog body because
Yeah,
she's stuck in that.
and she looks at Ed and goes, "Big brother." It's just like, oh no, because like you kind of notice some weird things about the professor as that episode goes on, or like as
Mm,
his appearance goes on. But
mm,
you're like, okay, so this guy's under a lot of pressure, but like,
mm,
yikes,
mm, mm.
and it like that was one of the darkest moments there, and it's very similar with Bonduroo here.
Yeah, Bondrew comes off very much like like a rapture scientist. As a matter of fact, I think I'm not sure, but I think the guy who made this manga is clearly a fan of Bioshock
Yeah, you
because
could say that. There's some influences there.
because later on in season two we get a robot that look almost exactly like a Big Daddy. But
Huh, interesting. But
so
even in season one, you can see some kind of aesthetic similarities and
mm,
some designs and stuff like that that are pretty similar to Bioshock, which and even some plot lines too, where for those who haven't played it, a lot of the scientists in the underwater city are taking place. We're in just in some rather interesting and also horribly unethical uh, fields of study.
like you can take Bondrew out of this show and place him in Rapture and he'll fit right in.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't even be the worst person in there.
Mm,
It's like,
uh
oh, you experiment with using children? Oh yeah, that's like Tuesday around here. Don't worry about it.
yeah, this show, uh, wow, yeah. So I have to actually, this show actually gets darker and darker with each episode. It gets that. It never really,
You
there's
never really
levity
get
to
that
it
light. Yeah, you never really get that lighthearted. episode after, like, it just gets darker and darker. You never really get a full reprieve from it.
No, you do give breathers with lighthearted moments. That's why we need Rico.
Well, yeah, you do get like the occasional moment of levity and stuff like that, but it gets
But
much darker as
but
it
the
goes on.
content of what happens in story gets more extreme each.
It gets
Like
progressively worse.
I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but season two, there's some of the R word involved.
Yeah.
So 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 like
So
it
that's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those no words on YouTube. Which is also
yeah.
why I can't mention the song titles of some of the bands I listen to,
Oh
or
yeah,
even some of
but
the
yeah.
bands, or even some of the band names of the ones I
Mm,
listen to.
uh,
But once you get into the death and black metal scene, it gets very interesting very fast.
So this show is definitely not for kids. So if you try to, because I heard some people actually want to show this show to the kids.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you see the art, like people like normies who don't understand anime or don't aren't familiar with it will like
Mm.
look at the art style and go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to show this to my daughter." And anyone who's actually into anime is like, "No, no, 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 no." Like, unless you want to traumatize your child, do not show them this show. And there are animes that aren't really like that, like the first series of Naruto and stuff like that, that are more kid friendly.
Yeah, they're
DB,
playing kid friendly
DBZ,
anime.
yeah, DBZ
Yeah,
is not too bad.
I know.
Although, Toonami back in the day kind of took it a little far with shows like Tenchi Muyo and stuff like that, where it's just like, I wouldn't be showing that on a kid's channel, but whatever.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so the cutesy art style contrasts with the dark content on purpose.
Yeah, and like I do like that a lot of shows in the anime genre do have that juxtaposition of like you have a very cutesy art style, but a very adult content,
Yeah. Mm,
and not just like physically adult either. Like there's some pretty serious psychological horror stuff going on.
yeah, and the most famous example of it is of course Madoka Magica, which I saw and I didn't really like. You probably might
I
you might.
I've I don't think I've seen it yet. I've heard of the show, but I haven't actually looked anything up.
Because it's really famous, but I personally didn't like it that much. It's just I didn't, yeah,
I always
but
hate that too when like everyone like raves about a show or a movie or whatever, and you're like, and even if you don't hate it, you're just kind of like, eh. Like, I feel like I missed something.
yeah. That's Madoka Magic is one of those shows for me. Like I watched that like what this is great. Yeah. But so who boy, uh, like I say, like you might want to watch. I made some videos reacting to season two episodes of this channel.
Okay.
So there's gonna be spoilers in those of course, but season two is not dubbed yet. Like I said, they're still airing in Japan right now.
Yeah. Now is season two longer than season one is? Because season one's only like 13 episodes.
Season two the episode 7 comes out today, this very day.
Oh, okay. So we don't know yet.
It's probably gonna be the same length.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
that's usually how they do things.
mm,
Is if they do 13, they'll do another 13 exactly, or maybe 12,
exactly.
depending on how the story works out.
Yeah, exactly. Keep in mind, a single anime season is usually 12 to 26 episodes.
Yeah. It, or at least now it is. It used to be they did an episode every week, and it went by story arc, not by season.
Wait, yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Things like
So
Naruto or Bleach, where you'd have like 300 episodes.
mm, yeah, exactly. Uh, uh, uh well, wait. Do you think? Okay, I just want. This is a kind of a. Do you think? Do you think? Wait, you didn't see the movie? I forgot. Yeah. So, cause I asked Mistress theories about Bondru, like, well, cause the movie, this Miles Minor Small, he doesn't die then.
I had a feeling that he was going to be around a while. He's too interesting a villain to kill off that fast.
Mm,
Like, not that he's a good character, but he's too intriguing to kill off.
Oh yeah, he doesn't really die, but it's important to watch the movie for a second season. Like it literally
Yeah.
second season literally picks up when the movie ends.
So the movie is kind of an interlude between the two seasons. It's not just like kind of its own standalone thing.
And the only reason why they made it to a movie was because the content was too dark, that he couldn't put it to a TV show and expect people to watch episode after episode.
Which that's when you know it's fucked up, when they won't make it into a serialized TV episode in Japan. The Japanese censors are very, very odd. Like, you can't do certain things that are fairly normal to us, but like almost anything else goes.
Mm.
And like things that we would only be able to get like on DVD or whatever over here are just on network television.
And keep in mind, Japan's not that big on streaming services at the moment.
Yeah.
So even then they still even then they will probably still release episodes one at a time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously we're gonna get them in chunks because that's when they just go through dub them all at once, so they only have to pay the voice actor. They only have to pay the voice actor for like 2 days of work, which we can get into later.
Exactly.
That industry is predatory as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But they get them, week after week. Which both elements have their advantage to them, because in a way, like, you want to you look forward to what you're going to get in the next episode instead of just, oh yeah, I'm just going to binge watch this whole season.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, this previous episode that just came out last week, we just had a kaiju fight.
Nice.
So
say what you want. I don't care if it's like my little monkey brain or whatever, but like, seeing two monsters fight is just like instant win. Like, it's not just because I grew up watching Godzilla movies, although that probably didn't help. Which, if you haven't seen the old Godzilla movies, go watch them. They're classics for a reason.
I saw the original King Kong versus Godzilla, the original from the 60s.
Oh, that movie's great. The 60s Godzilla stuff is awesome. And like, it's like, you have to like kind of adjust your expectations in terms of special effects and stuff like that because it's the 60s. But like, if you can get past the special effects and kind of hokiness of it, oh man, is it great. And I love the. Have you seen the new one?
No, I didn't see. I saw the first Godzilla.
Okay, so you saw the 2015,
2014 one. That was amazing, by the way.
No, that was great. I love that movie because they went back to the OG Godzilla. And Godzilla versus Kong is great. Skull Island's good too. Kong Skull Island is really good. And then I loved the new one because it knows exactly what it is and it doesn't try to be anything else.
The thing is, me personally, I felt they kind of end this universe too they kind of spelled the end for this universe too fast.
Because they already introduced Mechagodzilla. And
no. They already did get a ride in the third movie in the franchise, and he's supposed to be the big bad. Like, I personally feel like she did get a ride after Kong.
Yeah, and then like Mechagodzilla and stuff like that later on. Whereas they kind of like, I mean, that's Hollywood though. They try to rush everything and fit way too much into one movie.
But it's not super rushed like the DCEU was. Like, my God.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, we're gonna have Superman, and then Superman's dead, and Batman's a thing, and now Justice League, but we don't have Superman or Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter.
Exactly. It didn't really set up any the characters out of characters either. We just kind of shoved them into this new movie without establishing who these characters are in this universe.
And all the Snyder Cut fans are like kind of delusional because like it's a 4-hour movie and it still feels rushed.
How
do you make that happen?
Because like we didn't get any explanation for barely an explanation for how this world's version of the Flash works, or what else? Aquaman, we just kind of he gets his own solo origin story after the Justice League happens, which makes no sense.
That was the dumbest thing ever. Where like you've done an ensemble cast movie before you've even done the origin stories of all of your main characters.
It's not just that; the fact that his origin canonically takes place after Justice League. How does that even work?
Yeah, like he shouldn't even be a known thing yet. Why is he in the Justice League?
No. In the Aquaman movie, apparently the Justice League movie happened before the Aquaman movie.
Yeah, I know, and like yet
So
he's
he
somehow in Justice League.
no, well, so he's not the king of Atlantis yet at the time of the Justice League.
Yeah, and you kind of leave yourself wondering like, well, why is he in the Justice League then?
Well, no. Not only that, he gave up being a superhero for being the king of Atlantis before the events of Aquaman, and now he's king of Atlantis again.
Because reasons.
Like it
Well,
doesn't make
welcome to
any.
Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. It
Also,
doesn't have to make sense. It just has to make
also,
money.
also, you have Suicide Squad happen before Justice League, even though it's literally impossible.
Yeah.
And from a different comic book standpoint, if you don't know, the Suicide Squad was created by Amanda Waller specifically for these type of because they're all villains who got put in jail of other superheroes. And the reason why they exist primarily is let's do dirty jobs for the government and also to kill Justice League.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're designed not only like a a disavowable, disposable mission force, and also as a counter to the Justice League,
Exactly.
and yet
So
they exist before the Justice League.
like it makes no sense. Like Superman, Superman went evil. Superman's dead. Like at that time, like it make
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's like, oh, what happens if Superman is evil? He's in the ground. Like he can't be evil. He's dead.
like you can't. They
I
brought
mean,
Superman back to life after.
I
They
hate
didn't plan none of this stuff through.
the MCU has been doing that too, and I hate it because it just removes all the stakes from any of this. Where it's just like characters have died and then come back. It's just like, especially with the whole multiverse thing, where it's just like, oh, I'm back now. It's like,
Mm,
but you were dead.
mm,
It just
uh,
makes no sense. It's no.
no, uh, uh, yeah, yeah. So,
And like it
so
does happen in anime too, where like characters will come back from the dead, but it usually has some sort of horrible price attached to it.
mm, uh, but anyways, this is would do you want to continue with Made in Abyss? And if would you
Yeah,
continue this show?
yeah, I'm absolutely willing to see what this show's got in season two because, like, it's only 13 episodes, so you don't really get a feel for the full
Mm,
show yet. They're still showing you the universe and
mm.
everything you're running into, and you're still learning about it.
And be prepared for hiatuses because the manga's still going
Oh,
and
I don't doubt it. That's
uh,
the thing
uh
with any running series,
mm,
and as it should be. Are you listening, Game of Thrones? That was
yeah.
where that show went off the rails. Is when they got ahead of the lore and the original content and
Mm.
started just making shit up.
By the way, the guy who makes the manga has pretty good fan interaction. By the way, with fans over in Japan,
That's always a
uh,
bonus. It's not a
uh,
necessary thing, but it's always nice to see.
like for example, the name Bondru that actually can come from the fans
Oh, cool.
because he have a name for the this villain at first, but we just he kind of shows up and had this weird design, but the fans came up with a name though, so he just stuck with it.
Yeah, and I like that when authors and creators have a good relationship with their fan base and are willing to actually interact with them on that level. Like I don't know if you saw my BattleTech video that I put out right after Blaine Pardo got fired, but he was famous for that. Where
I
like
heard about that.
he was famous for that. Like I've had conversations with him. He was part of BattleTech International on Facebook for a lot of years, and like uh, if you were kind of cool with him or whatever and like interacted well with him, he'd like randomly put you in one of his books, like not in a major role or whatever, but like you'd be a random mech warrior or something like that.
Mm.
I told him I wanted to be a space janitor that basically like died in a tragic airlock accident or something. Because like so many other people will like come to him with like, oh yeah, I have this guy where I'm like the most badass thing ever and stuff like that. Like their mech warrior Destiny
Mm.
RPG character.
Mm.
Meanwhile, I want to be some random idiot in the background who just dies horribly for no apparent reason.
Mm.
I want to be the red shirt character.
Mm.
You basically just get like just like some random rookie mech warrior who gets fried in his fucking cockpit on his first mission,
Mm.
or something like that. Because I just want that would be cool to just be in the universe like that.
Mm.
Unfortunately, that'll probably never happen now. Oh well.
Mm. Mm. I've been trying to get in some. Have you seen log horizon or
Long Horizon.
log horizon or some? Have you seen the anime?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I want to ask. Tell me what some anime from the early 2000s that you've seen that you were a fan of.
I mean, much more of a fan of like the late '80s, early '90s stuff, like Trigun, Outlaw Star, Rurouni Kenshin. I really loved,
Mm,
and even the later stuff like the later Naruto stuff. I actually started enjoying a lot more,
mm,
and the early Bleach era.
yeah. Here's the thing with Rurouni Kenshin is one of those animes where you got where what's one of those entertainment properties where it's like the where you gotta take you gotta separate the art from the artist.
What do you mean?
'Cause if you don't know, the guy who made the manga is he's out of jail now, but he should I don't think he should be out of jail, but
Oh, okay.
no.
So he's one of those artists. Well, I
They say
mean, his universe is great. I was always wondered why they stopped making Samurai X, but now we know.
yeah, there's a reason for let's just say involves children. So,
Okay, one of
oh
those.
yeah, so yeah,
I agree. He should not be out of jail ever.
yeah, but yeah, so
But
yeah,
no, that's. But I do like Rurouni Kenshin quite a bit.
mm,
Like his like from the art style to the actual plot of the show, it's freaking awesome.
okay,
I like a lot of the cool sci-fi stuff, like Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, that kind of stuff. Like the stuff
uh,
you used to see on a lot of the Gundam series.
yeah, Gundam, like a Gundam, what's your favorite Gundam series? Because I know there's a bunch of them. Well, let's give me the
One of my
titles.
probably my favorite Gundam series overall is one of the oldest ones, Gundam Eighth Mobile Suit Team,
That's
where
got to be, I think
it's
that's got to be
basically
the
a lot
first or
more.
second.
It's the second series, and it's only like I think 9 episodes, including the movie, and it's actually a much more gritty, much more realistic uh, take on Gundam compared to the original.
Mm,
And I liked it because it's a lot. It's all based on Earth, so it's actually more like infantry combat with giant stumpy robots rather than space battles and stuff like that,
mm,
which I thought was an interesting take. Other than that, Gundam Wing probably,
mm,
or
mm,
if you want a more modern kind of variant of it, Gundam Double O was pretty good.
mm.
And I think there's not Iron Blooded Orphans, but like there's a new one set in the Universal Century, like the original timeline,
Mm,
that is kind of like a prologue to the original series,
okay.
which I remember enjoying. I haven't kept up with it though. I catch an episode here or there whenever I stumble across it.
Mm, yeah.
But the Gundam universe, like not just the Gundam universe, but like the that kind of anime, I really enjoyed.
Mm, yeah. So after you finish the movie, probably messed me back when you finish the movie because high five. What's your thoughts on that? Because that goes to some extremely dark places.
Yeah, I'll have
Uh,
to see that because I mean we're already in some pretty interesting territory in the show itself.
mm, mm,
And if this was
I was
made
more
a movie because it is too dark to show on Japanese TV, that's an interesting level.
no for serialized show for
Yeah,
serial yeah for serial episode after episode of nothing but dark stuff happening like
yeah.
uh so it also this I was more surprised but by say you didn't like Rico like what
I mean,
like
I think it's just because she's a very immature character. So I think as we go along, I'll start, and if she as she starts developing as a character, I'll
mhm,
like her a lot more. But she seemed more annoying than anything else at first.
yeah I didn't think she was no I thought she was just adorable but
But that's one of those
mm,
things that like it may just be I don't know her well enough, didn't know her well enough yet, and like
mm,
later on in the series, you do start to see that go away a little bit more.
mm.
I think a lot of it was how she treated Reg at first, where like you said, she was treating him like a tool.
Yeah, but that's because you don't see him as like I said, see him as a machine. See, remember the one of the characters from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, Data.
Uh, no, how when did one episode he had to go against this person? Uh, I seen it a long time ago, but
Oh, I mean, one of the main characters is an android, Data,
no,
and one entire episode is dedicated to whether or not he is a person because
exactly.
they wanted to like disassemble him and figure out how he works because the professor that built him only ever built two. and the other one's insane.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I'm a lore. Yeah, lore.
yeah, and I always thought that was a really cool dichotomy of like you have Data, who's like the very good but also very inhuman
Mm.
one, and he designed Lore to be much more human
But
and
he's insane.
Lore
And
evil,
yeah, he's evil. Yeah, I know lore.
which I thought was a really cool dichotomy in that you have the same character, or the same actor, even
Mm.
playing both characters in scenes with himself too, which I thought was interesting. That must have
Mm.
gotten really fun on set where he's having to do lines against himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point you actually do see them on screen together, which is an interesting effect for 1985.
Yeah, they did the same. I think they did the same effect in Coming to America.
Yeah,
Mm.
but no, that was like that's a very interesting episode, and that's what Star Trek used to do really
Mm,
well.
mm. Another thing about Rico is that she treats she treats Ray like a machine. She don't think that he has human impulses. Like for example, she's constantly necking around him.
Yeah, and like eventually they kind of get into um like does kind of
Mm,
change that. Like she starts seeing him more as a person rather than as an
mm,
accessory, essentially.
mm,
Like just this machine that walks around behind her and does whatever she wants.
mm,
And you do start seeing that more and more. And I think I like her more as the series goes on.
mm,
So
mm,
I'll be interested. Like I said, I'll watch the movie, and I'd be really interested to see where they go in season two.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, it will be probably months for that dub. So because we wait for the show to end, actually, the season two to actually end before we finish dubbing the whole, the whole season at once. All right, we got Russian viewer.
Hey, how's it going, man? This
Was
is what I like.
main
This is what I love about being on YouTube. You get viewers from all over the place. It's awesome.
uh this screen come to me by accident. Well, I'll be happy watching it to watch it. Okay.
And we're happy to have you, man. Like that's why we do these things, is so people can just watch and see what's up.
Mm, mm, yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I made multiple videos in this show. No, the season two's advertised is based all around this character called based around this character called for Puta. We barely funny enough, we barely seen her in this season yet so far. Like I said, episode 7
Okay,
comes out
yeah.
today.
So she's going to be a much bigger character in season two.
Yeah, yeah, it's another hollow. The hollows are all big things he's do. That's all about the hollows.
Yeah, because they introduce it in season one, but they don't really go into it, which you can usually bet that that's going to be a bigger thing going into the next
Mm,
series.
yeah. There's a whole sea of hollows.
Okay,
Mm, uh, uh,
which will be interesting.
okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just she has a past relationship with Rig, but like I said, we don't know the context of that yet.
Okay,
Rig
well,
used to know her. But,
that's always cool too. Is like when other characters know something that the other one
mm,
doesn't, but nobody's told them yet.
mm, and the implication of the relationship are kind of disturbing. We gotta watch it. You gotta watch that. I know you
Okay,
don't watch subbed, so
yeah, I'll wait for the dub to come out, and
mm,
mainly because I do other things while I'm watching the show, so I can't pay
yes.
attention to the subtitles.
Mm,
But yeah, I'll definitely give it a watch, and
uh,
we'll s-
so
and we'll see what's up because that seems like really intriguing.
how's this show compared to some anime the other anime I showed you, Monster?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think it's as interesting as Monster yet,
Of course it
Monster
wasn't.
also, but Monster takes a long time to get going as well.
Yeah, but Monster was amazing. Like I said, it's literally my favorite anime. So
Oh, it's so well done, just from
mm,
top to bottom.
yeah, and I think Brotherhood is my close second. The thing with Full Metal Alchemist franchise that it's gonna take about another year or so for the Memories of Brotherhood to fade enough for me to watch the original all the way through because I've had, like I said, I have the memories of Brotherhood still too fresh to do.
Yeah, okay, so you're gonna have to like give it a minute. No, I watched the two back to back. I watched the original and then Brotherhood,
Mm,
which Brotherhood does fill in the gaps, but they also end differently. So
mm,
it's kind of an interesting differentiation point, and they go much further into certain topics in Brotherhood than they do in the original.
Mm,
So, but it's an interest. I like that they didn't just make a sequel to it or like a different thing with that name. Like they actually did make it tied in but different.
no,
So
because the original manga, the Brotherhood is close to the files story of the original manga.
yeah,
For what the original Fullmetal Alchemist had this problem where the anime called to the manga. However, with that and the manga made Fullmetal Alchemist made by a woman. She told the anime production company just make your own storyline.
that's never a good idea.
That's what happened with Fullmetal Alchemist, the original Fullmetal Alchemist series.
Yeah, which is probably why I like the ending of Brotherhood better.
Mm,
But I will say there is stuff in the original that I like better.
mm,
So like it's kind of six of one, half dozen of the other in a lot of ways. Um, I don't know that either one of them is better than the other.
mm,
Um, and the characters don't change very much.
mm,
Like you know, Mustang is still Mustang.
yeah.
Armstrong is still the
Mm,
glorious human being we all know and love.
Ed and Al are still Ed and Al.
Yep. And then, but no, I would say it's not as good as Monster, but again, it's just starting out, so who knows? They
Mm,
could go so many places with it, and
mm.
I'll be interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah, like because it's rare that we get an anime these days in the past year since around 2017 onward. This anime is made 2017
Yep.
first season. That's actually unique because most anime nowadays is based off novels,
Yep.
not manga like it was every ever before. Yeah,
Yeah.
the novels that come out in Japan are very generic size from each other.
Yeah. It's standard cookie cutter. Turn around, make a quick dollar kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's why and a lot of anime nowadays feeling more samey than ever
Yeah,
because
and
with the source materials.
even within a genre, it's easy to like see what's really popular right now and then copy it.
Mm,
Whereas, and you'll make money doing that, but you'll never be, on the level of like Monster or Full Metal Alchemist or something like that, where they dared to go out and make, or dare I say, Dragon Ball,
mm,
where Akira Toriyama just went way outside the freaking box,
mm,
and it can either fail miserably if nobody likes it, or it can be a really big hit.
mm,
And like that's what I think is missing from a lot of Western stuff is that nobody is willing to take a risk.
mm,
Like these days, you could never get a Blade Runner or a Star Trek out of modern Hollywood. It just won't happen
mm.
because it's too different from everything else.
Mm, yeah, you guys experiment. The experimentation is not allowed no more.
Well, it's not that
That's
it's
the
not allowed. It's just that no studio will fund it because they're not guaranteed to make money off of it.
mm, mm, Instead, we gotta reboot everything, and just
Either reboot it or rip it off to the point where it's almost indistinguishable from something else.
yeah, like the Orville is basically just Star Trek.
It's a parody of Star Trek that's actually more accurate to Star Trek than most other Star Trek shows are.
Actually, did you know Seth MacFarlane wanted to make a straight up Star Trek show,
Yeah, he did,
they
and Paramount didn't want to do it.
so he just made his own version. It's kind of like Pathfinder.
Yeah, it clashed way too much with Secret Hideout and what they were trying to do with Discovery. So they shit canned it and moved on. And meanwhile, I think that Star Trek would be in a much different place today if Seth MacFarlane was given the reins for it. Because, like, yeah, he's known as more of a comedian
Mm,
and stuff like that, but he is a huge Star Trek nerd.
mm,
Like, he actually absolutely adores the series, and it would have been in great hands with him.
mm,
And I mean, I may not like the man's politics, but he would be a great custodian of the franchise, and he's done great with
mm,
the Orville.
mm,
Um, and like in a lot of cases, I think too, you won't get a lot of the really classic American television like Star Trek, like Battlestar Galactica, And unfortunately, like I think that's what killed shows like I don't know if you remember if you've ever seen Firefly.
No,
I would heavily
I was born
recommend.
in 2002, so a lot of stuff I will miss. I was
Well, yeah,
Tyler.
it came out in 2003, but
Yeah, all the stuff I will miss. I was Tyler.
it only got half a season, and like Fox never really gave it a chance. It came out in like all sorts of weird time slots on different nights, so like it never really got any traction until it came out on DVD. And then everybody I've ever heard of that's seen it loves it. It's like a sci-fi western.
Okay.
It's a really cool show, and
Okay, it might watch that in the original Cowboy Bebop anime back to back to see how that plays out.
yeah, I would heavily recommend Firefly. And there's a movie that follows it called Serenity.
Yeah,
That
I heard the movie. I seen parts of the movie. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, that's actually the end cap of the series
Okay.
because they weren't going to get another season and they got canceled. So
Oh,
but Joss Whedon did actually get enough support and that he was able to go to Fox and pitch a movie. And so they did get an ending essentially.
oh, by the way, what have you ever read any fantasy novel with a setting, or any kind of fantasy world with setting similar to Made in Abyss, or any kind of?
Not really. I mean, it does have some elements of like this wouldn't be like a strictly fantasy novel, but like Dante's Inferno, which is like classic literature of like the different bits, different levels of hell essentially.
Mm,
Um, so I think that could be kind of an interesting influence on this and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really know of many that are like this.
that's
At least not that I've read.
that's what amazed me so much. Like what? Like I've never.
Yeah, anytime somebody can create an entirely new world and like just come up with all of this off the top of their head, and you can be, and obviously there's influences from other stuff, whether it be a lot of Studio Ghibli stuff or
Mm,
um, a lot of other things like Bioshock or something like that.
mm,
They really meld the ideas together in new and interesting ways
mm.
that kind of take on a life of their own. Like that's why I fell in love with Warhammer 40K so much, is that like a lot of the lore is ripped straight out of Dune,
Mm.
especially for the Imperium. But first of all, everybody stole shit from Dune, including Star
Doom,
Wars.
Doom or Doom. I thought, Doom. I thought it said Doom, but Doom. Okay,
Well, there are
Doom now.
elements of that too, with like demons and stuff like that, but that came out later. That came
Oh,
out after 40K was
oh,
already a thing.
Doom. Okay,
Um,
okay. I know everybody
but
stole from Doom. Doom's probably the most famous science fiction work ever. Even Star Wars stole from Doom a lot.
oh yeah, I mean, and George
Like,
Lucas fully admits it.
yeah, I mean,
He's just like,
Tatooine is
no,
basically Arrakis.
yeah, it's like, and he even says that in a lot of interviews. He's like, I took
Mm.
Arrakis and put it on the screen for the first time because the original Dune movie hadn't happened.
And I saw the original Doom movie. That was not very good. I mean,
Yeah, the
pacing.
'84 Dune movie, like, I like it, but that's because I'm a huge Dune fan.
Like,
So like,
the thing there is the pacing was terrible.
well,
Like,
that's the unfortunate part. Is unfortunately Dune is like that in general. The book is like that too,
but
where it's a
they
lot more
did try to
political,
fix
a
they.
lot more political maneuvering and stuff like that, and then it
But here's
all
the thing.
happens at once.
No, no, but here's the thing: you could use filmmaking and to rearrange stories so that it still follows the same plot line, but it moves at faster pace. Like how would it that was we should have started on Arrakis, or if you don't start on Arrakis, then we show his life at first, and then we immediately cut to Arrakis. We don't have them doing research on Arrakis.
Well, because they
That
don't
was that
need
was pointless.
because they don't really need to.
I know.
Arrakis is a known thing by that point.
Yeah. Because in the 1984 Doom movie, they had him do a research on Arrakis. Like,
Well,
why
I
is he
mean,
doing?
Paul is looking up stuff on Arrakis because he's only I think 15,
I know, but at the
so
same
he
time,
doesn't know.
they could just cut that out and just show the planet. It's a movie, not a book.
Yeah, a lot of that was to basically do some of the exposition that was in the book.
But that's not necessary since we can already see that,
Yeah.
and plus they already did the exposition again later. So what's the point there? And we never really get to see any of the cultures on the planet Arrakis. We just got the see outside view of the planet when he
Yeah,
first got there, which
you
was
don't get
same
to
world.
learn much about the Fremen,
Exactly.
which I hope they fix in this version of Dune, because the second half is where you really meet the Fremen and get to know all of them and like all their customs and stuff like that.
Like we don't know anything about the firm. And I didn't like I didn't really care what was happening. I really not really connected to the setting.
Well, I think David Lynch too made up a lot of shit up in the back half of that movie to make it make sense.
Yeah,
Um,
and then the movie kind of just ends like wait, what? Like I was last time like what?
yeah,
Wait,
like
what?
that big climactic battle at the end. I was anticipating this big, huge battle scene, and it's really just not. It's
Like
just
so
kind of
much.
just like, okay, battle's over, we win.
No, so much is what happened is kind of like anticlimactic because they do a time skip in the middle of the movie. And I was like,
Which I hope they do this like the way they do Dune Part Two is they do that time skip off screen, like in between the two movies,
mm,
where like it ends with him meeting up with the Fremen and being basically adopted into their tribe. So I hope that it starts 3 years later when him and like spoiler alert, him and Chani are already married, have a son, all that, and like and just kind of start showing their life, like all the scenes on Caladan in the first one. I hope they do that, like just showing kind of his daily life and walking around on like in the Sieges and on Arrakis
mm,
in the second, and kind of use that as the jumping off point for this movie.
mm, mm,
Because I thought, yeah, like the '84 movie does have a lot of pacing issues, and like David Lynch was not a very famous director, and they tried to make a Dune movie before, and it had just failed before it even got off the ground. So I think he figured he needed something and needed something now before they decided to pull the plug on it.
yeah,
And also, they didn't get a big budget for it at all. That's why
no,
like
no,
nobody really famous was in the original one. They became famous later. Like there's a
I
lot
know.
of
Like
very
Patrick
famous.
Stewart was in that. I know that
He was a nobody actor at that time
at that time.
because Next Generation hadn't kicked off yet. In fact, his performance in Dune was part of the reason he got the audition for Next Generation.
Mm,
But up until then, he did more stage stuff. He wasn't really
mm,
a screen actor much at all.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's a couple other actors in there who would become famous later, like the guy who plays Duke Leto also plays the captain in Das Boot.
The captain, what?
Yeah, Das Boot. I think a mid '80s German movie about a U-boat crew.
No, watch that.
I would heavily recommend it. I would heavily recommend you watch it in German with subtitles because it does sound a lot better
Of course,
in German.
of course, it does.
And it sounds more realistic to what they would have gone through. It's a long movie. It's like 4.5 hours.
Oh, okay, then
But
okay.
there's another one. I really, if Hollywood didn't suck ass through a straw right now, I would want them to remake, even though the original is a masterpiece. Is Shogun.
Shogun.
Yeah, it's based on a novel by James Clavell of basically this English ship pilot who gets stranded in Japan in like 1600, and all the things he has to go through, and it's really cool. It's a really really good
Oh,
series.
you probably can remake that not nowadays. We got without not about the woke elements hitting the full force, and we'll get some kind of.
Well, I mean, it does. It goes into a lot of that with like the Spanish Jesuit missions and stuff like that, versus the Japanese very insular nature
Mm,
at that time, and like initially they just kind of want to kill him,
mm,
and
uh,
he actually learns their ways and actually starts becoming. He actually ends up being a very close personal friend of one of the main daimyo in Japan.
mm, mm. So so I think we're going long enough about Made of this. So I don't know. Should we do one reaction to the movie? I don't know.
I'd probably lump that into a season 2 review.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
because like that's like a movie review is kind of like a short. Like I don't know how long the movie is.
It's quite considerably long. It's really intense. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat when I watched the movie.
Okay,
So
so it's one of those like they pack a lot into it.
yeah.
Okay, but no,
Mm.
that's really good then because like a lot of anime movies, like it feels like an episode of the show that they dragged out for a lot
No,
longer
this
than they
not
should
that.
have.
This not that. This is really intense. Like I
Okay,
was on the
cool.
edge of my.
I,
So
I dig that because like a lot of like I said, a lot of it seems like they just took an episode of the show and just stretched it for like 90 minutes.
No, because this was a significant portion of the manga, so they couldn't really squeeze a lot. They couldn't really squeeze this in one episode. This would have to be like 4 episodes. So
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll definitely give that a watch, and I'll talk. I'll shoot you a message after I finish it. I'll probably watch it right after we get off here because
mm,
I actually have a night free for once because
okay,
I've been on what 3 streams so far this week, and I've
okay,
got another two. But I
I
got
understand that.
probably do another. I'll probably be doing another couple of Twitch streams and then my show on Sunday.
Yeah, I understand. So bye everybody in the chat. Including a new potential subscriber.
Yeah.
You
Have a good night.
subscriber. I can't pronounce. I can't speak Russian or read.
Yeah,
So
have a good night, guys, and thanks. Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
bye bye. And maybe check out Pope Metallica's channel. He does stuff about rock music and
Absolutely.
punk. So
Rock, punk, and heavy metal. It's what I do.
mm, I think I mentioned him in the description. So just literally just look up his screen name.
Yep. Should be the first thing that pops up.